Want to show you the markets right now because they've been paying attention to what's happening in Washington, moving today in both directions as we await a deal on the Republican health care bill. When it looked like we were going to get close to a deal, the Dow jumped. You know, obviously, health care stock's a big piece of this, but as hopes began to fade as the day has continued to go on, and there's been a lot of rhetoric back and forth that maybe there is no deal, and the Freedom Caucus is not going to be a part of that deal, which is crucial, folks. I want to bring in for analysis on today's top stories American Majority CEO Ned Ryun and American University Executive in Residence Capri Cafaro. Guys, a lot to go through. Hello to both of you. I first want to start with some notes we're getting from our colleagues at the Fox News channel that it's 2:34 Eastern time, Capri, okay? Right. For them to eat, they haven't even started anything. There's still a lot of meetings going on. We know that some of the moderate House Republicans are going to be going to the White House this afternoon. We just got that reporting in. If all of this is meeting and back and forth, can the House get to business tonight?
You know, I think they can. It's looking less and less likely, but I think that it's possible. I can tell you from my own personal experience, 10 years in the state Senate and 3 of those as minority leader, we've done a number of things like brokering redistricting reform, for example, that, you know, we recessed for hours and hours and hours and finally came in. We're in session for 15 minutes and voted it out at 4:30 in the morning. So it certainly is possible, and I think what they're trying to do is negotiate the finer points behind closed doors to make sure that they actually have the votes and nobody goes astray, because the last thing you want to do is put this thing on the floor and be embarrassed.
Well, but that's the thing, though, Ned, and I'm glad you agree with that, but at the same time, Freedom Caucus members don't seem to be on board. If you look at the numbers here, even though Sean Spicer says that, you know, we're getting more votes than we had earlier today, he wouldn't give us a number. Can't really blame him. He doesn't want to get ahead. But if you look at the numbers here, the House needs 215 if one Democrat does not show up because of a death in the family. But they can only lose at this point 22 if that Democrat doesn't show up. We're at 22. The Freedom Caucus is a strong contingent, and they seem to still be, from what we're hearing of our sources in D.C. and our reporters, they're still a no.
Yeah, no, and they should be. I mean, right now, I think what we're dealing with is not exactly Obamacare repeal. We're dealing with an Obamacare fix bill, and there's a massive difference between the two. And so I'm encouraged that the Freedom Caucus is saying, hey, let's have a little bit longer conversation on this. Let's make sure that there's aspects of this that are put back in, including entirely repealing Obamacare, putting back buying insurance across state lines, putting in some of these other reforms, too, as expanding HSAs, doing tort reform. And so I think what I would like to see, and I think what is really possible, because, again, you see reports, you know, could be up to 35 no votes. Let's pull this back. Let's have a little bit longer conversation, say a couple weeks, and let's really get this bill done right before we send it to the Senate. And some people are saying, well, let's get it passed through the House and send it to the Senate. No. There might be 12 Republican senators. Right, there are 12 Republican senators who might say no. And the other thing, too, Cheryl, is why would House members put their political careers on the line in 2018 to send a bill to the Senate that it might come back looking completely different? And right now, the bill as it stands, premiums could go up 20%. How would you like to be a House Republican member running on that?
Let me tell you why. I've got their statements right in front of me. Listen to this. Representative Jamie Herrera Buehler from Washington saying, I remain steadfast in my commitment to repeal and replace. This bill isn't it. Chris Smith from New Jersey can't accept cuts in health care coverage for the needy at home. He's talking about the poor Americans. Dan Donovan of New York, this does not work for me. It's not right in the best interest of my district. All of these congressmen are finally facing the truth, which is if they go home and their districts approve this, they're out. And they know that.
Forget the Freedom Caucus members. These are people that are not really associated with the Freedom Caucus saying we're not going to vote for this bill. So
and that is the problem.
Exactly, Capri.
That's exactly the problem. I mean, what the Republicans are facing are members of the Freedom Caucus who did not sign up for Obamacare light, so to speak. And then you have, you know, some of the more moderate members that are concerned, because all politics is local, that, you know, the implications of the current proposed bill could have, you know, widespread challenges for older adults, for low-income individuals. And they certainly don't want to own that failure. So I think it's going to be a really, really tough sell to bring these two together. And I do agree that, it's best for Democrats and Republicans alike. And I'm one to believe that we need to come together and not just be naysayers. We got to, if the horse is leaving the barn, so to speak, Democrats need to be at the table to make it as good of a product as it can be. We need more time. I think that Congress would be smart to put politics aside, not worry about the fact that they're trying to rush through, fulfilling a promise and actually get it right for the American people.
Then what does this mean for Paul Ryan, for House Speaker? If this doesn't have, this is an embarrassment for him, to say the least, but it could be worse for him in his future.
It could be. I mean, I think he should have brought conservatives to the table a lot sooner in this whole process. So there are questions starting to percolate in D.C. What does his speakership look like going forward? I've not heard of any, revolts being organized against Ryan. But again, if you're going to be bringing this major piece of legislation up, and quite frankly, I think they are going to have to pull it. I don't think it will go to a floor vote tonight. We'll see, of course, in a few hours if it will. I mean, this is a major blow to his ability as Speaker to really be able to organize the votes for a big bill. So I think there will be more and more questions if this bill gets pulled. What does his speakership look like in the future? But to further that point, if he will pull it, and we'll take 2 more weeks of debate and tell Congress, listen, you don't get 2 weeks off in April. We're going to have a serious conversation about this, get a better bill together, get everybody at the table, pass it, send it to the Senate.
Okay.
It's a much better process.
We shall see it. I know that's not ideal for the president or for House Speaker Ryan, but that may be what's happening. Guys, Capri, Ned, thank you very much. I want to